Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second session where we introduce the stars behind the South African Fashion Week labels. I want to say that today it is really the day for the designers, and we're going to give them a lot of time to talk about themselves, to talk about their collections and the inspiration behind their collections. And I must say that for the first time, the collections are incredibly honest. It is slow fashion. It projects a South African psyche. It is really, really absolutely incredible and has enormous amount of depth in it. So I hope you enjoy the session and I hope you enjoy connecting with our absolutely fantastic designers. Before we kick off, I would like to just say thank you to our financial partners, because as you know, without them, we are actually nothing in South Africa. The Mall of Africa that absolutely saved us. We shot the collections there, and we will be viewing the collections every night, 28th, 29th, and 30th on huge screens, which will be absolutely fantastic. And then Satiskin, that is afforded three designers to do their show at no cost. MAC, what a fantastic brand that has done all the makeup, and each designer show's makeup was designed for the collection, and the same with the hair. Thank you to Carlton Hair for being with us for, I think it is the 8th year. I'd also like to thank our collaborators, and that, of course, you know, is the Diamond Fiber Collections. So thank you very much to Martin Viljoen and Camilla. They don't always like me to mention them, but I really want to take the time to say thank you for understanding the power of fashion. We, this season, have done a tribute to Wandi Nizimande, who passed away earlier this year. Wandi was a great friend of mine. I've known him since he was 18 years old, but on the other hand, I've known most of these designers since they were 18 years old. Right, Jacques? So, yes, his collection was designed by Olay, and Olay is also here today. So, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our first designer. That is a young designer, a designer from Durban with absolutely incredible talent. I've met him, I think 3 or 4 years ago, when he showed his first collection at the South African Fashion Week. And this season, he was part of the new talent search show, Sipho Mbuto. Sipho, are you ready and are you there?
Thank you so much, Priscilla, for an opportunity.
Sipho? Sorry, Sipho.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for an opportunity. I'm so sorry, my network is not so well this side. Yeah, so my name is Sipho Mbuto from South Coast of KwaZulu-Natal, Potchefstroom, but for work, I'm based at Durban. So my upcoming collection for SS21, it's titled by the name of Dala. So it's inspired by these young kids who are coming from a disadvantaged background, who doesn't have like toys or anything that can like play with. So whatever that they come across in the streets, in the dump sites or wherever where they work, they collect it and create something that they're gonna pay up, they're gonna, you know, like spend their time with. So my collection was inspired by that. So my fabrications was it all was made out of the deconstructed denims that I found at the flea markets and also to the street market. So I use that concept of upcycling since the brief of the new talent search advised us to try and do something that is sustainable and eco-friendly. So fabrications, I use those deconstructed denims that I found at the street market and then also some little bit of the leftovers of the previous collection that I've did before. So yeah, hopefully my customer or my target market will enjoy will love the collection and will see the interest and story in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sipho. And I must say, the New Talent Show is the first show, so it's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And we've got 6 incredible young designers. It is a completely sustainable competition. And I must say, the designers really did fantastic work. Our next designer is a designer that we've known for many years. She comes from the same province as Sipho. And I always say, that is the province that actually has the talent in the design talent in South Africa, and that is from Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. And Amanda Leacheri, a very, very warm welcome to you. Yes, Amanda's in America at the moment, so it's very interesting how we can bring everything together. Doesn't matter where you are, you're still South African. Amanda.
Thank you, Lucinda. Yes. South Africa, amazing. So I actually was born in Cape Town, but lived most of my life in Durban and started my career and studied in Durban. And I think that sweaty humidity does something for your creativity, besides the fact that a lot of us felt like we were the poor cousins, so we had to work harder. My collection, the inspiration was rooted in the concept of upcycling. With a very conscious decision to use garments that were already in my studio. And obviously with the pandemic, we've had a lot of adjustments to make, and so stuff that either had come back to the studio or there were issues with it in terms of quality. So it is shirts, skirts, kaftans, my Longro kaftan dresses that I used to put this collection together. And it was a case of layering, adapting, tweaking, pleating, and wanting to create something beautiful out of something that perhaps was not going to get a second life. So very much around the concept of upcycling and sustainability projection.
Thank you, Amanda. I must say that the collection is beautiful, and I was privileged enough to shoot and to be part of every collection. It's an all-white collection, and it is really incredibly interesting because you've really got to look. She used shirts, mainly shirts, to do the whole collection, and you really need to have to look to see where the shirts sort of reveal themselves. So, Amanda, your show is on the 30th. Am I right? On the 30th? Leroy, on the 30th. Yes, and a very, very interesting and a very fresh collection. Thank you very much, Amanda. We go to Arto Ekstien. Arto is also one of the New Talent designers. Arto is from Cape Town, but he grew up in Pretoria, if I'm right. Arto, over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So I just first want to say that I feel incredibly honored to be part of the New Talent Search competition this year. I only started my business last year, so I'm extremely lucky to have this opportunity to propel my career into the fashion industry. So I just want to talk a bit about my collection of New Talent Search. It's entitled Exquisite Corpse, and Exquisite Corpse is a surrealist method or process that was developed in the 1920s. And basically what it's about collectively assembling images or words in a collective artwork. So we typically start off with one person starting to draw an image, and the next person would only continue the image by only seeing what the previous person has drawn with only the end. And then afterwards, you reveal an entire artwork, and it's completely random and unpredicted. So I had two of these sketches with areas of my friends and family to use as inspiration for the print of my garments. I reconstructed these images, took them apart, and that basically served as the inspiration for my prints. This also serves as inspiration for the concept of the collection, for being very unrestricted and as a sense of collaborative creativity, but also taps into ideas of the illogic, the irregular, concept of juxtaposition and disposition and things like that. So it's really about quite random elements bringing together into a single collection.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arto. Yes, and I must say the combinations within the new talent search designers of different fabrics and the fact that slow fashion played such an incredible role in their design and in their businesses really comes through the collections. Next is Black Coffee, Jacques van der Walt from Black Coffee, based in Johannesburg, and been one of our leading designers in South Africa.
Thank you, Lucilla. I must say, firstly, I really enjoyed making this collection. I love showing, but I think maybe this collection was a little bit more closer to home for me. It was maybe like I revisited what got me into fashion in the beginning, what really I like personally about clothes. And at the beginning of lockdown, I actually maybe slightly overreacted and closed my store. So I was one of the people that maybe played it safer than most. I didn't feel like having massive debt at the end of the pandemic, and I didn't know what was coming. And we were given the opportunity to exit our lease. So the only reason I'm mentioning that is this collection feels a little bit like a reboot. And I called it Platoon. So there is a link to military clothes, but specifically vintage military clothes, and kind of exploring a little bit fashion's obsession with those kind of menswear basics that come from military clothes, like trench coats, parkas. I also played a bit with other menswear. I mean, it's a women's wear collection. So even though I'm mentioning all these menswear influences, so we were working a lot with menswear, other menswear staples as well, not only military ones, check shirts, drawstring pants. And it's an incredibly kind of simple collection for Black Coffee. It's not super embellished, with more focus on proportion and layering. But there are some graphic elements. I wanted it to look a little bit like very simple printed markings that you would maybe find on a uniform, or say on like a duffel bag or something like that. I think the end result is, but a little bit more about the patterning. I did, however, have quite a strong, I've always loved Bauhaus art. So the graphics from particularly the posters from Bauhaus art. So even though I wanted it to look like it could live on a military thing, it's also strongly inspired by Bauhaus posters, and also the very simplified posters that are almost alphabet posters, where they simplify the alphabet so much that it starts just becoming geometry. And I think it's also been a really fun process showing the collection this year in a completely different way. I've actually also really enjoyed like having the pressure of having it ready a little bit removed from the day that we actually show it. So you almost have, as a creative, processed what you've done a little bit by the time you show it to everybody. So that's been an interesting, different way of working. And having done so many collections, like, it's nice to be surprised by something. So thank you, Lucilla. It's been a great experience.
Yeah, and I must say, for me also, the fact that we shot it and that we are broadcasting it digitally has also changed it. You know, it is almost as if we had the time to look at each individual garment, as the designer had time to sort of absorb his collection or her collection, because they were there at the shoot. They saw every garment come out. It was not like you backstage and the huge pressure of getting ready for the show and then you are out. And I really felt that the designers in general enjoyed the show or shooting the collections. And I think that they will even enjoy the digital, the broadcast more, because of course it's spectacular. You know, we've just done the editing and it's completely spectacular to see the garments close up. So yes, I think it was an absolute win for us to go digital.
If I could say one more thing, sorry.
Yes. No?
I just wanted to mention also, like, I think fashion, a large part of fashion has become content creation.
Yes.
I think when I went into fashion, I never thought the word content creation didn't even exist then. But I think the focus should never move away from the clothing. But I think what this way of working has shown is the importance of the content creation part of the process.
Yeah.
So once you've got a garment, you may be 5% of the way, because it's getting and I think maybe I found it very important because it's maybe something I haven't been very strong with. I think I'm so you know, for me it's like, well, I've made a beautiful garment, now love it or hate it and leave me alone, you know, kind of thing. But I've had to learn over the years to become more about all the other processes that are necessary. And I think this emphasizes this way of working.
Yeah, and I think what is also interesting is the fact that our partners are leveraging Fashion Week, because they take the content and they use it in a completely different way. Like, for instance, the Satterskin that did the interviews with all the models and with the designers. So they also are very content focused, and they see the connection between fashion and their brand, which is really fantastic. MAC will also start releasing that content, and so will Carlton Hair. So yes, content, of course, is the thing that is king at the moment. So again, another plus for the negativity that COVID brought is from that a lot of positivity came for the fashion industry. Our next designer is Mpumi, and Mpumi came through the 21 Steps to Retail, which is a program that the South African Fashion Week did in conjunction with Edgar's, where we chose designers from the colleges, direct from the colleges. They then went through a learning process and straight into retail. And Mpumi is one of the stars of that program. And Mpumi designs all his own fabric. He prints. He designs all his own prints, absolutely beautiful prints. So over to you from Ezoketo.
Hi, Lucilla. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much to Satterskin as well for sponsoring our show this season. This collection is inspired by Umfazwe Pepper. It's called Umfazwe Pepper. It is inspired by a soapie that I used to watch growing up. It's like a comedy soapie of two women who are married to one man. One was a traditional woman and the other was a working woman, Umfazwe Pepper. So in that context, I took that and I developed the collection that I have, which also relates to the customer that Satiskin has. She's very preppy, she's very modern, she's very smart, she knows who she is, and it all ties back to what the brand communicates, the modern woman. Women nowadays are CEOs, they can be who they want to be. They cannot be boxed. And that's what we love to highlight and enhance. And I feel like that's where the South African woman is at. And talking about the South African woman, she's very in control and looking at the customer as well, the customer that buys from us. They always have sort of directions in terms of what I can do, what I can add, what they love. And from then on, it's just a circle of give and take. And that's beautiful because then that's where I'm sort of taking the brand towards. That's where I'm building the brand. Very bold colors this season. We wanted something joyful. I recently lost my dad, so I just got inspired to just do something happy, you know, something joyful, something that has color, something that will bring some joy also to reflect to the time that we're in. You know, we're starting to learn how to live post the pandemic. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. Also listening to my own voice as a designer, my own instincts. I've been led in that direction, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing to see, especially seeing the collection come together when we were shooting for the shows that are going to be airing tomorrow. It was just so nice to have that moment where everything is just relaxed. There's no rushing backstage, as you mentioned. You are able to curate the collection on how you want to see it flow or come out, and I'm happy with how it came out, and I hope everyone loves the collection.
Thank you very much, Pumi. Yes, so it is indeed a colourful, happy collection, and it reflects exactly what he says. So our next is a new talent designer, a delightful girl called Fikile Sukulo, and she's also from Durban. So Fikile, over to you. Fikile? We will come back to Fikile. Leroy will just double check on her. We'll move to Judith. So Judith is for the second season. Judith has been part of the Diamond Fiber collections. Beautiful collection that she's done this season. And of course, we all know that mohair is called the diamond fiber. It's a beautiful natural fiber. But I'll leave it to Judith to tell you about it. Judith.
Thank you, Lucilla, and thank you for everyone that has joined in for this webinar. It's such an honor to be part of the Diamond Fiber collections and just to explore this wonderful oh, good. Okay, good. Okay, and yeah, just to explore this wonderful fiber. We are the Judith brand is a Cape Town-based women's wear luxury brand, and we produce everything in-house. So I'm very proud of what we've accomplished within these 7 past years, and be part of the SA Fashion Week and be part of SA Fashion Week for I think it was it's 5-6 years now, and to showcase with them. So thank you so much for Lucilla for what you've done for us as the brand. But yeah, back to our collection. So first off, we based the collection on celebrating, well, not celebrating Kwanzaa, but just the whole ethical and festival idea of what Kwanzaa is. And I'm not sure if some of you know about it. It's an African American heritage. And Kwanzaa means, it's a Swahili word that means first fruits. And it's based on 7 days of main beliefs that they have. And it's beautiful and just ethical. And the 7 words is unity and self-determination, cooperation, sharing, purpose, creativity, and faith. So we based it on that whole 7 days, and including our fabrics and the colors. And just to tell you a bit of the styling also, it's very simple and classical, but it goes back to the whole ethicalness of what Kwanzaa means, and just to celebrate sustainability also, and to give back, and just to stay a bit more classical with this whole collection, to keep it simple. And which makes it so beautiful is just the pureness of it. And the fabrics that we chose was like a cotton blend, beautiful stripes that we used in different ways, but very clean and simple. And then we collaborated, well, not collaborated, but with the diamond fiber collections, we worked along with them, and we made use of the Mube yarns. So yeah, we made use of a knitter in Cape Town, which also did our previous collection. And yeah, they are just wonderful with the work they are doing. We produced a wonderful print together, and well, we designed a beautiful print together, and just incorporated different types of mohair yarns to produce wonderful luxury garments. So yeah, that's a bit of a background of the collection. And yeah, we look forward to having you there on the 30th at 8 o'clock, and to share it with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you very much. The next collection was a very, very interesting collection, and a designer that I am very, very, very happy about her showing her collection at Fashion Week. We haven't seen her for quite a few years, and when I saw her the first time, I said to her, "What?" Well, when she arrived with the clothes, I said to her, "What are you wearing?" And she said, "A plastic bag." So I'm going to introduce you to Lara Klavankovsky. Now I said it correctly, Klavankovsky. And she's going to take you through her really, really interesting concept and a wonderful, wonderful way forward in design. Lara.
Hello, I'm Lara Klavankovsky, and I'm thrilled to be showcasing my latest collection at SA Fashion Week as the Twig Changemaker winner of last year. I think my work over the past 2 years has really become very sustainable, and I'm using a lot of recycled and upcycled materials, and it's so nice to put a collection together and then put it on a runway at SA Fashion Week, so many more people can see what it looks like on models and how it moves. So for this collection, I drew inspiration from flowers and botanical detailing in flowers, and I've called it inflorescence. Inflorescence means it's the flowering parts of a plant and how flowers are arranged on a plant. And I've taken inspiration from the parrot tulip. And what's beautiful about parrot tulips is that they have so many different colors on a single petal. And I've used interesting colorways that have kind of been a pot-like color palette, because I sourced all my fabric from Revolving. Revolving is a sustainability initiative in Cape Town, and they collect all the offcuts from CMTs around the city. And I discovered them at the Twig Awards last year. That's where the awards were. And I was so inspired by all these bricks of offcuts, and it's almost like what I have at my studio, but magnified. So I bought all my fabric from them, and it's all offcut. So instead of the traditional roll of fabric, I had a bag of fabric, a ball of bits. So it was really nice to then work from what I'd collected and create color palettes that worked well together and formed patterns, and a kind of a collage effect that mimics the patterns in petals and flowers. And what I did is I used plastics made from recycled materials and combined it with the offcuts and refabricated into panels of material that are flexible and sculptural, and then formed the dresses and skirts and shirts in my collection. So they look very botanical and organic in shape, but they're wearable. And what's wonderful about the material that I've created is that it's machine washable and durable and lightweight, and it's accessible. Anyone can wear it, not just a pop star or someone who's performing. People in their everyday lives can incorporate these pieces and wear a piece of the idea and inspiration.
Thank you. Yes, I must say it's a very, very interesting. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for taking us through this. Our next designer, I see Fakilia is not back yet, so I'll keep a lookout for her. But our next designer is, her label is called McAlpine, and she's Marguerite. Marguerite.
Hi, everyone. Lucilla, thank you, everyone, for watching and joining in this afternoon. I'm very excited. I'm part of the New Talent Search competition. A little bit of background. I'm born and bred in Josie. I've studied at UJ. I obtained my degree from them. I was working as a buyer for a year and decided that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to feel the creativity again and work with the clothing and actually applying my own ideas and thoughts into the clothing. And that is when I decided to start my own brand 3 years ago, and selling through small markets and in store and smaller boutiques. And then I got the opportunity to be on the New Talent Search competition, and I'm very excited for it. The inspiration behind the New Talent Search competition is waste not, want not. So this is one of the most important lessons that I've learned last year, 2020, is make use of whatever you have. Even if you think that it's not necessary, don't throw it away. See how you can repurpose it. This is the whole sentiment of my collection. So we've repurposed fabrics to create a print. We've used zero waste patterns to create garments with the least waste possible. We've also breathed new life into old designs, and yeah, we've just decided to embrace the hecticness of last year and apply it to a collection that will embrace sustainability and showcase sustainability in a new way.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marguerite. Next up is Saint Vuyo. Saint Vuyo was also part of the New Talent. Kulani Mhlambo from Saint Vuyo.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on the platform. I appreciate it. I'm very honored to be among such fellow incredible creatives, I would say. So, I guess I'll start maybe where I chose fashion as a career choice. Was in matric. We all know in life orientation, we do job shadowing. So in that week of knowing I had to do job shadowing for life orientation, I was on my way to the Constitutional Court, to visit my dad's best friend, Judge Edwin Cameron. And I had interrupted a lunch between him and David Lale. So then I was able to, something jolted. It's like, let's explore this as a career path. So I spent 3 days in David's studio. The little that I learned and the little that I was exposed to, it still sold me. I was sold. I applied to design school, the only school I'd applied to, and I got in. This was in Pretoria. And after graduating, I sort of stayed unemployed for 2 years, tried getting into retail, but also saw that it wasn't a path for me. So I went back and did my honors, just to also gain some confidence. That's where I wrote a research dissertation on dismantling and deconstructing hegemonic gender codes in retail spaces. And I learned a lot, not only about gender, but myself. I was able to basically just be inspired to create something for myself. And I created Saint Vuyo in the beginning of lockdown. I found myself not doing anything, obviously, you're at home. And I was really just inspired more to just create something for myself, a label, rather than opting for the option of going into retail and not really pursuing what I really wanted to do. So I created Saint Vuyo, March 2020 during level 5. So big step of creating a label in the beginning of a pandemic, imagine. But yeah, that's the story. Saint Vuyo basically was inspired by my middle name, Vuyo. Direct translation is in Xhosa, it's joy or happiness. So I found it incredibly fitting to label this, what I've created, as such, because it's given me nothing but joy and happiness. So yeah. And to give you a little bit about the collection, you guys know what tarot cards are, tarot card readings. So I did a tarot reading, and the one card that was pulled out was the Wheel of Fortune tarot card. So I was told to keep it close to me and that it spins well in my favor. So I decided, let's create a print inspired by the original tarot card. And originally, when I saw the brief for New Talent Search, Lucilla was jumping for joy, because since creating Saint Vuyo, I've been able to experiment with different things, different ways of constructing garments in ethical ways and printing. And when I saw the brief and read it, gosh, my time to shine, at least. So I created a print, and inspired by the Wheel of Fortune tarot card. And I made my own fabric locally. I was inspired by current times, and basically with COVID, everything is unpredictability of fashion. So initially when reading the brief and deciding on which fabric I wanted, I almost was just looking and was more inspired by what can I get locally and what can I produce locally. And I was able to weave up my own fabric at the quantity that I needed locally. I was able to create shoes as well. It was a lot inspired by also upcycling. I upcycled a few materials because I have the privilege of working with other fellow creatives in the space of other fellow creatives, so you can bounce your ideas off each other and gain resources you never really had. So downstairs there was a weaver. I connected with a shoemaker, and I work in the same space where Tebe, Makugu, and Rich Nisi make their bags as well. So I was able to explore bag making as well. And there came Saint Vuyo. So with the collection, it was a lot inspired by zero waste. In my plight of sustainability, it was zero waste. I experienced a bit of waste during, obviously with designers, it never really goes as planned, creating a whole collection. So there was a bit of salvage. I was then able to create a headpiece or a neck piece, sustainable neck piece called Wasteful Veins, for SA Fashion Week as an installation. So that Wasteful Veins was basically inspired by the collection titled Chapter 1, a clan named Mdinek. Mdineka is a clan name, my clan name. And I really was just inspired to create an all-woman collection, almost resembling like the all-woman army in Black Panther, the Dora Milaje or something, you know. So I I really had fun throughout this process. It was very humbling and quite an incredible process. You know, you actually get to my first ever actual collection showing, and I'm incredibly excited and I'm incredibly honored to be showing at SA Fashion Week, Priscilla. So, and it's quite a full circle for me because in first year I started off at Fashion Week as like a door usher, assistant, anything they could give me, anything they could give me.
Bring them through. Yeah. Good. Thank you, Tanan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you very much. It is incredible how many in South Africa the designers have a real opportunity to, when they have talent and tenacity and they are sustainable and they are serious about design, they become well known very quickly. So because we do not have this incredible culture of fashion behind us, people that actually keep the big names, that keep the other names from coming through, we don't have that in South Africa. And a lot of our top designers, like for instance Jacques, comes through our competitions. We find the designers straight from the universities. We grab them because, of course, the future of fashion sits in the hands of the youth. So with that, Michael Reed is our next designer. Michael Reed, his label is XSSA, which is Xavier Sadan, South Africa. And he will definitely correct me if I've said it incorrectly. And he came through the 21 steps. So Michael, yes, over to you.
Thanks, Lucilla. Hi, everyone. Please bear with me if I mess up. I'm really unnecessarily nervous for this. Yeah, so as Lucilla said, the brand is called Xavier Sadan, South Africa. I spent half of my life in Cape Town and half of my life in Johannesburg. I'm 23 years old, but I've got a ton of experience in the industry. I started interning when I was in grade 10, which is probably younger than I should have. As Lucilla said, I did the 21 Steps to Retail competition. I did the student competition. I did the Scouting Menswear competition as well. And now I'm in the competition to earn money. So let's go back.
Well said.
This upcoming collection is called the New Money Collection. And it's a personal story about the downside of getting money fast. So as a non-white person in this country, you know, we didn't come from money. We weren't taught how to deal with money. That's a generational thing. So I wanted to explore the different stages. Like at first, you get money and you want to show off that you've got money. And then there's the stage of paranoia where you don't know what to do with the money. You don't know who you can trust. And then there's the stage of losing it or losing yourself. And I think it's so easy to allow money or something or even someone to determine your own self-worth. I'm actually making a comic book about it, which I'll release through my Instagram. But anyway, that's enough of me being a nerd. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. And I must say it was a pleasure having you on all those platforms. And I wish every single designer just all the best in the world, because you can make it. You can absolutely make it. Michaela Farouk from Maklele. You are up next, Maklele.
Hi, Lucilla. Thanks so much. Hi to everybody. So I'm Michaela from Maklele. I am a gender fluid designer, but I'm currently focusing on menswear just because I feel like it's the men that need a push in
men always need a push
when it comes to fashion, especially in terms of and shapes and pattern. Yes. So I entered the Scouting Menswear competition last year, and it really did open my eyes to a lot of things in the fashion industry. I am very big on sustainability. That's why my collection last year was solely based on waste fabrics. But this year I did change it up a bit. I took a step back and tried to be a bit more simpler in my design, mainly because I felt like I needed to sort of tame my creativity. So last year my collection was a bit wild. This year it's very simple, it's very basic, it's back to black, if I could say. So yeah, my collection this year is basically based off the ideal of, can sustainability be fast fashion? And when I looked at it personally, I don't think so, because there'll always be like, we'll always fall short somewhere. And with this collection, I really took into account like the use of like pattern paper, the use of certain fabrics and add-ons, things like that. So I tried to be as basic as possible. I tried to give it a bit of a edgier look, just to show the struggle that we are actually facing in the street, just to a bit tougher while we're trying to do the right thing. And yeah, I hope everybody tunes in on the 1st of May at 8:30 to have a look at my show.
Thank you, Michaela. Next up is Oscar Mube from Chiefs for Angels. Oscar, you on?
Hi guys, thank you for this opportunity, Lucilla. Chiefs of Angels, we're a punk rock inspired brand. And so for this season, what we did is we sort of like did a slight 180 from our last showing, which was very pretty by our standards. And I don't know, this season I just thought, you know what? Let's go wild. Let's add color. Let's be more experimental in our styling, you know, and sort of like push the styling codes that we're known for to a different level and different dimension. Almost like trying our best to make the looks as ugly as possible. in what would be the norm in conventional wear. So that got us to doing more extensive ripping that we do. We do a lot of ripping and distressing on our garments. We took nippers to cable nets and really did unconventional things to traditional knits. And the styling basically was based on Kurt Cobain, the grunge punk rock scene that came out of Seattle. And this was very important to me because we are an African brand, but we want to allow ourselves to be inspired by the world and not just by our continent. And that's sort of the other thing that we try and champion at Chiefs of Angels, is to be an African brand that is allowed to be inspired by the world and not just by our immediate surroundings. Sustainability is a very huge factor in our brand. All our leather jackets, for example, are made from old leather pants that we bring into the studio and recut into new styles. So it's very much, we take sustainability and zero waste to like another level. And we show you that if you're going to buy extensively ripped t-shirt from Chiefs of Angels or a ripped knit in that state as a new garment, then there is no reason for the new garment you have that is in your wardrobe that has molds or holes in it to be thrown away. It's just turning it around and saying, if it's okay to buy distressed, ripped clothing as brand new clothing, then why do we have to treat the clothes in our own cupboards, in our own wardrobes as old when they're torn? You know, so it's just turning that psychographic around of the consumer and forcing the consumer to come into terms with the fact that they're buying something that has been destroyed as a new garment and taking it into their own closet as a new, as something that they would want to wear as a new garment. Take that same energy into your old stuff. So Chiefs of Angels this season is really crazy. Look forward to seeing the final edit of the show and how it all came about.
Thank you, Oscar. We now go to Locks and Culture. I'm not going to say any more. I'd like to ask Ole. Ole did the collection. He designed the collection. He is somebody that we all know. He has his own label. So Ole, maybe just take us through your thinking behind doing the design for somebody that meant a lot in your life, somebody that you knew inside out, and somebody that you felt that you wanted to show the world how you saw or would see a collection through the eyes of Wandi. Ole? Ole? Just your speaker, your microphone on, Ole. Bottom left. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ole Lidimu.
Yeah, we
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Hi, everyone. For me, this was one of the most challenging collection I've ever made, in the sense that, it was not just a collection, but a tribute, and being a tribute, the fact that we didn't focus on the client, but celebrating the life of an icon, celebrating a legend, celebrating Wandi, one of the few people that sort of spearheaded and, became an icon and a pioneer in our industry. Growing up in Free State, Bloemfontein, I look up to Wandi and Sechaba as the founder and the owner of Lokshan Culture. And for me, it was very touching to be part of, the Lokshan Culture team. As a creative director, I'm very, very honored. And thank you, Lucilla. It's through SA Fashion Week that I have met Wandi, and we became friends, and I became part of the team. So for me, this collection means a lot. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster because at some point, I went into our past collections and the moments with Wandi and what we shared, and also celebrating the fact that he was such an amazing guy, and it was different in the sense. And obviously then Lokshan Culture is a streetwear brand, and putting together this collection, I had to sort of infuse some of the things that I do best, like tailoring. So it was a combination of high fashion and streetwear, very dressy, luxe, and yet degage and relaxed. And there's multiple of style when you look at the collection. But one of the highlights of the collection is the fact that we came up together with Gideon. We came up with a print which celebrates Wandi's life and everything that Wandi loved, like music, food, street culture, TV production. And I tried to infuse everything about him and what he liked into the collection. And I believe that the print will stay with us for a while. And we are fortunate enough to have clinched the deal with Pep Store, and the print will be available at Pep Store. So I'm very honored to be part of the team, and And thank you, Lucilla, for the opportunity and the platform to have met such a wonderful guy like Wendy.
Thank you, Ole. I absolutely agree with every word you've said, and I must say what you've done with the collection is absolutely incredible. Our next person is Gideon Abrahams, and Gideon was Wendy's partner, so he also knew Wendy inside out. Gideon.
Thank you, Lucilla. Thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It's 22 years of Lokshan culture, known Wendy since he was 19 years old. And for me, I don't want to get all teary, but at the end of the day, I just want to thank Ole, who made this a seamless encounter, that we had to do a memorial for our friend, and we had to put together a combination of all the years of Wendy with our current business structure and put everything all into one. And I think we pulled it off. I think everyone who's going to see the show will be blown away by the design, what Ole has put together. The actual T-shirt print that he's talking about is a basic T-shirt that is in PEP stores that we have created such meaning into the print. And I think once you see it, you'll understand the whole picture behind it. And I think what people can get an inspiration from is, I'm a businessman. I'm never in the front foot of the business. I was always at the back. Wendy, he was the front, he was the flair, he was the design, he had the connections, he had the DJing. And with him not being around, I think it's been a big lesson for me to learn how important he was in our business and what he actually did for the business. Mm-hmm. But I think any young designers can learn. Lokshan culture is, we've been in, to be conservative, 600-700 stores. We're probably on our 20th million pair of footwear, shoes. And we still come back to the basics, which is Fashion Week. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big you are or how cool you think you are. Your grassroots is where you built and where you always come back to. And I think that's what Wendy, why we were so happy to do it again with Fashion Week. And I think with PEP stores being involved in us going forward, it was always Wendy's dream that if people walked into a shop and they want to know, we used to get tons of phone calls, where do I buy Lokshan culture? And we used to never be able to direct them into retail stores. So with the connection with PEP stores, we are able to showcase our full range, and we are able to be nearly on everyone's doorstep, that they can get it everywhere and anywhere. It's affordable, it's fashionable, and it's really cool. And I think Ole going forward is going to be a huge inspiration and help us also with our brand.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Gideon. And before I go to the end off, I'd just like to go back to Amanda, because she has not, she's got more to say. So Amanda, just over to you.
Sorry, I didn't finish my rationale on the creative side. And it comes from, it's representative of my concerns and thoughts from a lived experience of being born South African, living most of my life there, moving to the States, older, and then traveling back and forth like 5 times a year. I was surprised by the difference in the racist attitudes of people in America and how they don't talk about it. And obviously with the pandemic and things that have happened, it's become amazingly, kind of out in the open, so to speak. And so I chose a monochromatic color palette, specifically to express my feelings in this. And it starts out with all white garments. And it's representing unjust deaths here in the USA at the hands and knees of law enforcement. So the white garments for a number of looks They represent the imbalance of privilege and power. And then later I'm bringing in a black garment and then go back between black and white. And that to me is showing the struggles that have been going on here. And then at the end, I focus on a black showpiece, which is honoring those who've been lost, and it's sending out a plea that systems will change and that people will be rightfully respected.
Thank you, Amanda. Yes, that was very important. I'm glad you got that in. Thank you very much. I'd like to say we've come to the end now of our webinar. I'd like to say thank you very much for everybody that joined us. Please share the knowledge that you've gained today, and I hope that you enjoy the shows, and we're looking forward to seeing your opinions and your discussions on the collections that are so very close to us on social media. So thank you to everybody that joined us, and go well and be happy. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bing, just hold on a second. Okay, guys, are we off? Are we off live, Leroy?